We'll call our meeting of the fiscal court to order. We have several guests that have asked to appear before the court this morning. First is Bob Gifford, our Water Vision 2020 Director. Bob?
Mr. Judge, I have a draw request for project WX21157046 in the amount of $19,775. This goes to David Smith Construction, and this was a building that houses a booster pump for the Brewers area. So the total request is $19,775.
All right, you've heard the request of Mr. Gifford. The request is for $19,775.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Bob, how far along are we on the Brewers?
They're working on the electrical in the building. We have the pump on grounds, and as soon as that's done, the pumping station will be completed. I sent you all information about, we've been trying to find additional grant funds to finish this project, and to finish the project, we like the telemetry on both the tanks at Oak Level and at Brewers. Unfortunately, we've just struck out everywhere for grant funds. The director of KIA, Mr. John Covington, told me, and I came back and told Judge, that they would extend the amount of the loan for this. This was an $800,000 grant, $200,000 loan, by 10%, just from a letter from the court asking that amount. The estimated cost for this, and I haven't bid it yet, would be, the difference for the county would be around $4,880 per year to extinguish this debt. So if you all feel so that we could apply for this additional funds to complete this project, you would probably need a motion, Judge, to make that appeal to Kentucky Infrastructure Authority.
Well, this is an important project that I would like to see completed. I would recommend that we allow Mr. Gifford to contact Mr. Covington and the KIA to make this extension.
I'd make that motion, Judge.
Second. Motion, is there a second? Second. Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Mr. Gifford, if you'll get with me, we'll prepare the proper
Okay.
letter to send to Mr. Covington.
Hey, Bobby, when would the first payment on that? Would that be something we'd have to amend into this year's?
We're paying the interest now, is that correct,
So it would
Emily?
just be an extension?
Yeah, I still have $11,000 in that fund. When I get the bill for the electrical in there, that'll be extinguished, and then we'll have to start paying that
Okay,
probably by the end of the year.
by the end of the year, okay.
Okay, Judge, we had talked about getting the remainder of the funding for Sanitation District Number 1's upgrades. The $300,000 that we got from Delta Regional was a grant. Tied to that grant is that the remaining $225,000 of that monies were to be secured by us to complete the project. I met with KIA on this as well. They asked us first to go through the Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund. Two reasons. One, the interest rate's a little bit better than what KIA has right now, as well as it has forgivable principal tied to this. So I made that application as they asked, and Mr. Covington told me that if something happens and it doesn't get approved through that they would make that loan and we would still have our financing in place.
When will we know on that one, Bob? Do you
That's
know?
normally late spring before that list is announced.
Yeah, so we're looking at April, May,
Yes.
somewhere along in there.
We've already started the engineering plans for the Delta Regional Funds. So that, spending that money, we're in the process of getting started.
Okay, so we can draw down that
Yes,
and move on as we move into the project.
yes, and that will complete the upgrades for sanitation district number 1 and keep them in good graces.
Thanks. All right.
After almost 2 years, we have received a generator grant in the amount of $120,770. And these generators will be at the Carter Bryant, a backup for the Carter Bryant treatment plant on North Marshall, and a booster station for Jonathan Creek out on Oasis Road. We ran this through the county because we're trying to pick up everybody, but the court would need to ratify this grant agreement in the amount of $120,770 so I could start that process.
You heard the request. What's your pleasure?
Make a motion, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries.
That's all I have, Judge.
You're fairly brief this morning, Gifford.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Glad to have Jerry Miller with us this morning. Jerry is our chairman of the North Marshall Water District, and appreciate him coming to the court meeting this morning. Appreciate the work the district does. Next, Mr. Lee Watson is asked to appear before the court. Ms. Watson?
First, I'm really nervous to be here. I'd like to say, I've written a letter to say everything that I want to say because I want to make sure that I don't get emotional and that I, get everything stated that I want to state. I also want to say the only reason that I am here in public is I've spoken with my sister, who's a commissioner up in New Jersey, and she has assured me that if something needs to get done in the county so that it's not looked at as political or financial gain or whatever, that the people of the county actually have to come before the board to make a motion. So that's why I'm here. It's nothing personal. It's nothing political. It's not behind anybody's back. It's just this is what I was told I need to do to take care of an issue that is really bothering my husband and myself. So I'm going to read my letter. Judge Miller and Board of Commissioners of Marshall County. My name is Lee Watson, and my husband and I live on Tiger Lake Cove. We live just down the road from a house which was destroyed by fire almost a year ago. Unfortunately for us and our neighbors, the house is still standing. We have not previously complained publicly because we believed the owners would do what was right and have the house torn down. We actually received a call from one of the owners approximately the second week of August, and were told a contractor would be at the site the first week of September and would take care of the house. It is now the second week of October, and there is no evidence that anything has been done to the house. We believe that the house now poses a health hazard, as well as being a detriment to our own property values. There is a health hazard because there are feral cats which have taken up residence in the house. If wild cats are living there, what else has taken up residence? Obviously, these feral cats are not vaccinated against rabies and other diseases. We own 3 small dogs who spend a lot of time outdoors in our fenced-in yard and do not appreciate them potentially being exposed to any more risks than they already face. As far as property values, how many of you would purchase a home in a subdivision where an eyesore such as this exists? If we were to put our house up for sale, how much longer would it take to sell? The burned-out house is definitely a deterrent to other potential homeowners in our subdivision. We respectfully ask this board to take whatever action necessary to have the remains of this damaged structure torn down. Thank you. The only other thing I'd want to add is a couple weeks ago, one of our dogs got out and ran down the road to this house where they always run because there used to be 3 dogs there. So I went down to get him, and he's tiny. He weighs 6.5 pounds. So when I went up to get him, which was right beside the house, 3 cats ran out of the house. One of them was bigger than him. And, I mean, they're obviously wild cats, and that's really bothersome to me. So,
Thank you, Ms. Watson.
Judge, can I respond?
Yes.
That's my home, obviously, and there is a process. It applies to me, Ms. Watson. You were my former neighbor. It applies to me as it does anybody else. And
Right.
and to clarify, that process is if there's a nuisance that exists, then there are forms at the sheriff's office, and those forms are turned into the sheriff's office, and then within 10 days they make notice to the homeowner to have them advise what their course of action is going to be. They can either appeal it and go to the refuse board, or they can make plans to take care of the nuisance. You and my husband did speak about a month ago, and if my understanding is correct, the nuisance ordinance is in place to ensure that people are moving forward. They're progressing. If a property remains stagnant for some period of time and there's no forward motion, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, if there's no forward motion, no activity, then you would obviously be subject to having a nuisance complaint served on you. But what you don't know, and what bothers me, is that you wrote this letter before consulting with us, and I could have probably told you why that the property from the outside looks as if there's no movement. And for someone that has not had a home burn, I'll walk you through very quickly why, if you don't choose to completely rebuild, a structure stands for an extended period of time. The first step is handwriting everything you've ever owned, okay? And that is by brand name, where you got it, how much it costs, the whole 9 yards. This takes months to do. That's your first step in completing the insurance process. The second step is for the insurance to then get those items and review. Your structure must remain standing if you do not intend to fully rebuild. If you intend to fully rebuild, the structure then can be removed at that time, and a lot of the homes that you've seen throughout the community that burn, they choose to do that. So it's demolished immediately. There's no haggling over items. In our case, our insurance adjuster wanted us to add on rebuild to a portion of our home. We didn't think that was possible, so we fought over it. And we finally cut our losses and settled, but in the meantime, until they went through everything we ever owned and went and dug through the house to make sure we weren't lying about it, we could not take the house down. It was the end of April before that was possible, before we got the release. At that point, our subdivision owner, which you're familiar with, I won't name his name, came to us, and they had a couple that wanted to purchase our home. We entered a land contract. They wanted the structure existing. They did not want it torn down. That drug on until July, when the week of our closing, they backed out. Actually, the day before our closing, they backed out. At that point, we went and obtained a contractor. We have a contract I'll be happy to show you. We've been at their mercy. They've been doing a state contract in Ballard County, which my husband explained to you when he spoke with you. And due to weather and other issues that anybody that deals with contractors knows about, they started work actually this past Saturday. If you'll look behind the house, they started removing all the inner workings of the house that they have to remove before they can demo, because there's separate disposal facilities that they have to make arrangements with. But again, the point being, there's been forward motion the entire time, and unfortunately for you all, I understand. You know, we bought the house in foreclosure. It was in disrepair when we bought it. It was an eyesore. We put a lot of money into it and loved our house and did a lot for the property values, because when we remodeled, it was worth $220,000, which made us have the most expensive property on the block, if you will. And we were proud of that. But through this tragedy, we've not wished to have anyone else suffer through what we've gone through, and we have been forward moving, and I apologize that it's been this way, and if we could go back and know that the couple would have backed out, we would have never entered into that contract. Unfortunately, it's been one circumstance after another, and it's still standing, and trust me when I say we hate to look at it more than you do. But they are in the process, and as I said, if you'll look out back, they began Saturday removing the inner portions of it, and are set to begin all of the demo except for the garage this week.
okay, well, that's great. That is our bottom line, is just to, have it gone, especially with, feral cats living in there now. That's our big concern.
Trust me, I understand.
Right.
Yeah, but sometimes, for anybody that is curious about the process, if you have an issue, go to the sheriff's office. go to the sheriff's office. I see people in the audience who obviously have a personal issue with me that are shaking their head, and that's fine. But, you know, we have contracts, we have the ability to prove any of the things that we're saying. I don't have a problem providing that, Lee. You were my neighbor, you were a good neighbor, I loved your dogs, and I don't want to see anything, you know, happen to
Right.
them. And as I said, this should all be behind us pretty soon.
And again, Misty, this is nothing personal, and I
understand.
hope you know,
understand.
understand that and believe that, because it's
Absolutely.
not.
I want it down more than you do,
Right.
probably.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Watson.
Thank you.
Next is Greg Carlton, Peel and Holland. Mr. Carlton.
Morning.
Presented each of you with a copy of an executive briefing for the employee benefits, request for proposal outcomes that we've conducted the last 60 days. That information is before the court this morning. There's also a couple of loose leaf handouts in your packet where we've projected some current rates that the Kentucky Employers Health Plan charges on their own employees. We've also shown you what the current share of employee costs are here at the county, because they are different. The state would love for the county to charge what they charge their employees, but the Kentucky Employers Health Plan imposes a higher cost to its employees than the Marshall County Fiscal Court does. Due to federal health care reform regulations, there are limitations on how much you can pass on as increase to your employees. So we've also included a column for that, which is if you chose to follow the state's guidelines, if you chose to also then make sure your program was a grandfathered program according to federal guidelines, what that would mean. So we've basically set in motion some parameters that say, here's what you're doing today, and here's as far as you could take that today based on federal regulations. And so I want to take a moment and walk you through some of the document itself. On page 4, just to point out, there's what I would call a profit and loss statement for the Kentucky Employers Health Plan. It basically says the county paid in so many dollars from 2005 and through 6/7 through the May of 12. And so you see there at the bottom of that, it shows net premiums paid. The reason I show it net is that you pay in premiums to the state. The state then has in the past sent money back to the county, usually once or twice each year, called a premium rebate. It's part of their give back program to the quasi-government units. So any given year, one year in 2005, the county got about $59,000 of its premium back. In 2011, that was about $147,549. So it's pretty sizable dollars. So when you net out what you pay in from what the state gives you back, you're left with this is how much we really had out of the county's total pocketbook. Of that amount, the county pays, as an example right now, about 86 to 87% of that amount. The employees pay the other portion. The county also pays the money for employees who waive coverage. It's $775 a month, $2,100 a year. So that's about $57,000 or so dollars that the county puts out of the budget. Now, to sort of complete that circle, you've paid in money, you've gotten some money back, you've paid in a net amount, and then on the middle of page 4, we show the actual claims. Back in 2005 through 7, the state reported to us as sort of a lump sum amount for the county, including the refuse district. Beginning in 8 through 11, we started itemizing the county government versus the refuse district in both amounts paid in and claims paid out. So the bottom line at the bottom shows difference in claims. So what you're going to notice in items in black there are differences that are to your favor. Items in red are differences saying, well, we paid in less than the state paid out on our behalf. So as an example, in 2012 through May, we've paid in a net amount of about $721,000. I'm rounding here. The state's paid out $886,000 in claims, so we basically are upside down to the state $165,000. We were pretty good shape in 11, 10, and 9. In 8, 7, and 6, you were upside down. When you add all those numbers up, basically we've paid the state $287,775 less in premium than it's paid on our behalf for claims over the course of 05 through 12. Now, there's no retribution to the county for that. It's what it is. We're all one big happy family in the Commonwealth's plan. But what it does hurt is that when I go to do a request for a proposal and say to an outside carrier, we'd love for you to take Marshall County Fiscal Court's employees and provide us with a benefit program. You get what we see on page 5 is a lot of responses that say, we're not going to bid because we can't be competitive. And what they're really saying is that if you want us to do your program, you have to pay us enough to pay your claims and also pay out our administrative cost and function the program in a way where we can reasonably assume we're going to at least break even and maybe make a profit. And this would be firms like Anthem, Bluegrass Family Health, Humana, some independent administrators, United Healthcare, so very large companies that are very well known. You see ads on TV. We went to all of those, and really when you flip over to page 6, the outcomes of that RFP are shown. We were able to get North America Administrators in Nashville, Bluegrass Family Health in Lexington, United Healthcare to provide a bid. Now here's an example of why I believe we need to also take some other action I'm going to talk about in a moment. But the current total plan cost for the Kentucky Employers Plan in 12 is projected to be about $1,852,000. That's your money and employees' money all going together to the state. 2013, if no one changes their plan, they're in. If no one moves from single or spouse or child or whatever plan design they get, that rate's going up about 3.29%, so 3.3%. So it's going to move from about $1,852,000 to $1,913,000. About $61,000 a year. The question would immediately be, is there anything less expensive out there on the market? Well, the 3 bids we got, one was $2,350,000, one was $2,613,000, and another was $2,369,000. That was saying, take the plans we have and make a new plan that looks like these plans. It functions like these plans and would pay the same thing out on behalf of our employees. Tell me what that would cost us in total, and then we'll decide how we split it up. So it's anywhere from $496,000 more than we're spending the current year to as much as $760,000. So I don't think there's any way we're going to find anything better than the Kentucky Employers Plan today. And historically, it's actually saved our county about $300,000 to be in that program. So my suggestion is we stay with the state another year. The second suggestion I have is that we continue to impress the wellness program and its content and offerings on employees and get them engaged. I think they're doing a great job of listening and being involved, but I think we can step it up to a new level. I think we can do some more educational programs. We can do some additional programs in terms of helping them manage their care and maybe get some better outcomes, because the bottom line is that until we get healthier, until we spend less dollars at the doctor and hospital, we're not going to have any of these carriers that want to engage with us and handle our program. So that's the key. Now, back to the how do we share the cost? Well, right now the county shares it anywhere from 85 to 87%, depending on the plan you look at. At the middle of page 6, what I've done is say in 2012, here's how much you're paying, here's your waivers, your total. Employees pay about $229,000 or about 12%. A, which is the light green color there, it basically says, listen, we can keep it simple. We can say, don't pass any on to your employees, just absorb all of it. There's about $61,000 there. If you can afford $61,000 as a court, just be a employer that says no change in our employee cost. Well, the budgets are tight, so I doubt that's going to be something you can do. So then we said, well, what's the most we can charge? Okay, under the law. The law has parameters. So the red is set up to say, well, if you said, well, charge what the state charges. If the state charges too much under the federal law, according to our guidelines, federal guidelines, then back up and charge whatever the limit is under the federal law. That's what that does, and basically says your costs would go down $13,000 and employee costs would go up $74,000. So I think what we have is one's probably not acceptable to the court and one's not acceptable to employees. So I asked Emily to take a look at this from a treasurer's standpoint and say, could she make a recommendation of something sort of in the middle? Because that's about life's generally about this argument and that argument, right, Jeff? And then you tend to find people have to get back to the middle. So what we've done is there's a handout that Emily's prepared that's in the back of your kits as well. It's a black and white document that if she would take just a second, give you her opinion on what she believes that it's affordable based on the budget she's put together.
This is laid out a little differently than what's shown you in this pamphlet here, but where we were passing along charges on one recommendation, we were passing along charges to get us closer to the way the state pays to reduce our costs and increase the employee costs. However, with knowing that there were no raises given this year and the increase in the overall premium is rather minimal in relation to how healthcare can increase, I looked at it and kind of put together a medium, and it's for each plan. It doesn't increase our costs unless necessary, and it doesn't increase the employees' costs where necessary. But per plan, looks like the employee, if we went with this option 2, that's the black and the gray paper, the highest plan, looks like the highest employee cost would be, on the optimum, it would go up $70. And that one is, that's an error in my spreadsheet. It would actually go up about $50 a month for the employee. That would be the highest cost, but most.
When you say optimal, you're talking about the best plan?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes, the lower coverage plans or different coverage plans would go up about between $41 and $47 for a family plan. And your single plans, your standard doesn't increase at all. Your maximum choice goes up $11, and capital choice would go to $12, and optimum $12.
All right, it's your recommendation, then we stay with our current plan. And our increase is
3.3%.
3.3%. All right. Any questions from the court?
Do you have sort of an idea of some of the plans that we can implement? Is there some sort of further discussion beyond this that we can go to start looking at how we can get those numbers down?
Absolutely. Yeah, we actually have a lot of public employers around the state that are looking at in the same situations, and they're taking on several different walks towards this. One is the entire process of, as we're hiring new employees, how do we vet through that by department? So that's one discussion. I think you all do a very good job in general, but I think we could sit down and say, what are other counties and cities and other quasi-government entities doing, maybe that you're not doing, and so you see if any of that makes sense. That obviously helps you on the onboarding process in general. Second is, once you get somebody on board, is that, what are we missing opportunities in our wellness program? Part of that, I think, is in the coaching. I think coaching is what we're seeing the biggest jump, is where you put somebody in front of a coach, dietitian or other person that's based on their need. So if it's someone that says, I'd really like a meal plan, I'm struggling with my weight, or I'm a diabetic, maybe we put one of our dietitians with them. If it's somebody that needs, they've got pretty good diet, but they're struggling with exercise, maybe we put somebody that's an exercise physiologist with them and say, okay, let's build something out for you. Again, we have to weigh this and not spend too much money at the same time we try and get a result, but spend the least amount we can as an investment for the greatest amount of return. I don't know how you put money and time values on somebody's life. But when I look at the kind of services that we're spending money on, it tends to come back to about 4 or 5 areas, and most of those are all driven by lifestyle for the most part, and it's things like our weight, it's things like that are driven by our diet, it's cardiovascular disease, strokes, heart attacks, it's things that relate back to cancer, which some are actually preventable based on diet and exercise. So I think we can do a better job of that, working together. And the third leg of this, I think, really is about education, is about members saying, yeah, I would like to change, I just don't know what I don't know, so we help them understand. And then maybe another part is transparency. A thing I noticed in some of the detail as I was going through this was we have members going and buying services on certain things like CT, MRIs, maybe going to the hospital. When there are other alternatives, they would probably just as be likely to go to or want to go to just as good a service, maybe at half the price. They just don't know. So one of the projects needs to be, over the next year, how do we help employees understand what does this normally cost versus what is it costing the court through the state's plan. So I think there are a lot of things. I think it is beyond today's meeting, but the goal would be to look up in 2 or 3 years and say, have we gotten to the point where we're paying in more than we're taking out, and now we are more attractive. Now we have more bids coming in that want us. They're fighting over us again.
Okay.
Good.
The other plans that I put in your packet, I think it's good news is that for the most part, with the exception of dental, dental's up about 8%. It's a voluntary plan. It's with Delta Dental. They haven't taken a lot of changes in the past, and it's still a very reasonable cost. It's passed on to employees. It's about $21 a month. Again, they don't have to take it. It's their choice. We have about 40% of employees that want a dental program. That's just more of a continuation of the plan. We did find a less expensive vision plan through Blue Cross and Blue Shield. We can keep our Avisus plan, or we can do the Blue Cross. Again, it's voluntary. It's a little less expensive, about 3% to members. We saved about $2,500 on our life insurance this year by doing the bids. So we just continue with the same provider, and we get $2,500 off our current rates. So the process really worked well. And in summary, we'll spend a little bit more on health care. The employees will spend a little bit more on dental, but it's their choice if they want a plan. They'll spend a little less on vision, and the county will spend less on life insurance.
And these decisions will be made during our open enrollment,
Yes, sir.
which is this month, is that correct?
Starts in the next 2 weeks, and that's a state rule we have to follow, but yes,
Right,
we'll
I
start there.
understand. All right. Any other questions? Then I would recommend that we continue with the state plan as recommended by Mr. Carlton, our advisor. What's your pleasure?
That motion, Judge.
I have a motion. Is there a second? Second. Motion and second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you, Greg. Let's move now into correspondence from Dr. H.W. Ford. This is to our Health Director, Lysetta Whitworth. Dear Lysetta, as we have discussed, I have decided to retire as the Medical Director of the Marshall County Health Department effective January 1, 2013. It's been a pleasure to work with you and all the previous directors and all the employees over the past several years. Yours truly, H.W. Ford, M.D. H has been our Medical Director, I know, for over 40 years. I guess he deserves retirement, but he's going to be hard to replace. We are talking with one of our doctors in town that expressed an interest in being our health director, so we have until January 1, but I want to just say how much I appreciate H.W. and all the work he has done, not only with the health department, but for the county in general, with the hospital and his private practice over the years here in the county. From Marshall County Battery and Golf Cart, the Marshall County Battery and Golf Cart agrees to donate their entire collection of Christmas frames and lights for use at the county park. We appreciate what the county does for the community during the holiday season. It takes a lot of money and labor hours to decorate the park into a magical place for young and old. For the past 20 years, we have had a Christmas frame business, and I have a passion for Christmas in the park. Because of this, we're donating the frames and lights. The value of the donation is $19,500. I look forward to touring the park this winter and enjoying the wonderland of lights. This is from Maryland Templeton. We certainly appreciate their contribution. We are in the process now of putting our lights up. It'll take all the days we have, and we'll light the park up the day after Thanksgiving at dark. The day after Thanksgiving, continue through January 1st. Again, all the proceeds, both monetary and canned goods, will go to the Marshall County Need Line. And I must say the Need Line is in desperate need of any contributions right now. They're low with their food bank, a lot of requests. I know there's going to be a fundraiser at the Country Crossroads in Hardin later on this month, with all proceeds going to the Need Line. I can't think of the date, right, Melanie?
It's Monday the 15th from 5 to 8.
Monday the 15th from 5 to 8. Go down and get a good fish dinner. They have tickets available. Melanie, I'm sure you have some tickets, right? You're on the board.
I have some in my purse.
All right.
Anybody needs any.
All right.
Follow me back to the office.
Okay. All right. Let's move into old business. You've all received the minutes of the September 18th meeting of the Fiscal Court. Any corrections or additions to the minutes of the meeting?
None.
Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes, Judge.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Let's move into Opal Lane. There was a meeting with the folks at Opal Lane. They're looking at forming a road taxing district, I believe, in order to get their road up to shape. Commissioner Anderson, I know you attended that meeting, and Jeff, you think we're making some good progress, Terry?
I think so. They're just trying to decide what they want to do. They're not certain yet if everyone's going to want to participate or not. So I think we're going to meet with Russell on the 15th, a week from yesterday. We're going to meet with Russell York and go over some issues concerning the road and then make their decision.
Some of them have talked about going ahead and paying up front. Is that correct, Terry, rather than to go into a taxing district?
I think during the meeting, I think that was pretty much what they had decided that they would do is pay for it up front and then just ask us to petition us to take it in lieu of the tax. So that looks like what probably will happen.
And that's certainly acceptable. We would not be able to pave it this year,
Right.
but at least we could get it into a passable shape, and if snow comes, be able, if it's in our jurisdiction, to take care of that. All right. Sanitation District Number 2 board opening. We had a death. A member of the board passed away. Have y'all given any thought to that? Had an opportunity to talk with anybody out in that area? Of course, it's a small area, and the commissioner must either live or own property. Is that right, Jeff, in that district? Mm-hmm. Yo,
I had mentioned it to Daniel Sladen. I was asking Terry if he had somebody in mind. Daniel had been concerned about making sure that the progress continued because he's a business owner in Draftonville with Parcells. But if you want to, unless you all have somebody else,
no, I mean, I know Daniel is.
do you want to
would
check
he-
with him and see if he's
would-
still interested?
Yeah,
it's
if you
okay.
want me to, I'll
Yeah.
be glad to. I think Daniel will be a good board member. Mel, make a note for me to. Did he seem positive?
He did. It was a
Commissioner?
while back whenever we had spoke about it.
Okay. Okay, we'll check with him and try to be ready for the next court meeting. All right, next we have the second reading of ordinance 2012-08. This is the Marshall County Arts Commission bond pool financing. Let me see, what is it? Jeff, is this all I have to read? The second notice here? Okay. This is the notice of second reading of ordinance 2012-08. The County of Marshall, Kentucky Fiscal Court, at a meeting to be held on October the 9th, 2012, at 1101 Main Street, Benton, Kentucky, in the County of Marshall, Kentucky, will consider for passage the following ordinance. An ordinance approving a lease for the financing of a project, providing for the payment and security of the lease, creating a sinking fund, and authorizing the execution of various documents related to such lease. It is hereby certified that the foregoing ordinance provides for approval of a lease with the Kentucky Association of Counties Leasing Trust as administrator, and the bank, financial institution, or finance corporation offering the lowest and best interest rate as leaseor for financing contains certain public improvements and provides a general obligation pledge to assess and levy sufficient taxes to comply with the obligations to make lease payments, establishes and maintains a sinking fund for the deposit and application of tax revenues, and makes certain designations regarding the lease. A complete copy of the ordinance may be reviewed at the office of the County of Marshall, 1101 Main, Benton, Kentucky. This has been published in our paper of record, the Tribune Courier. This is for the Marshall County Arts Commission in their building of a new facility here in Benton for the Arts Commission Children Arts Theater. What's your pleasure on the adoption, second reading and adoption of ordinance 201208?
Make a motion, Judge.
Have a motion by Commissioner Drew,
Second.
second by Commissioner Gold. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. I don't know what else I need to say. Next is our refuse board appointment, which we've been talking about for some time. It is my recommendation we reappoint Charles Edwards, to the Marshall County Refuse Board. Do I hear a motion?
I'd make that motion, Judge.
We have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right. Tie vote. Any other old business come before the court? All right, let's move into new business. From the Marshall County Parks Department, their chairman, Mr. Danny Nelson. Said, Dear Mike, the terms of Trent Lovett and Greg Smothers expire at the close of our park board meeting on October 24, 2012. Due to the delayed construction of the splash pad at the Mike Miller Park and these members' involvement with this project, it is our recommendation that the fiscal court reappoint Trent and Greg to serve another term as members of this board. Please consider this matter at your next fiscal court meeting and advise the park board accordingly. The recommendation is for the reappointment of Trent Lovett and Greg Smothers. What's your pleasure?
I'd make that motion, Judge.
We have a motion by Squire Gold. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Squire Anderson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Next, we have two members of the Marshall County Extension Board. Their terms are expiring as of January the 1st, 2013. And the Marshall County Extension Office has nominated the following individuals to serve. Your current members, Jan Bragg and Dennis Joseph, are eligible to serve another term. The names they have submitted are Jan Bragg, Deborah Doughty, Dennis Joseph, and George Milam. The two sitting board members who are eligible are Jan and Dennis. What's your pleasure?
I'd make a motion to reappoint Jan and Dennis to the board.
You've heard the motion by Squire Gold. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. From the Aurora Ross Fire Department, Mary Ann Rideout wants to retire, and the board members have recommended Betty Latham to serve. Her term will expire 6/30/14. She'll be a landowner representative. I know Miss Betty. She's been very active in homemakers and a lot of activities out in the Aurora Ross area. I would recommend Miss Betty for that appointment.
Make a motion, Judge.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. From the Penny Ryle Narcotics Task Force, dear Judge Miller, please find a statement for Marshall County's FY 12-13 contribution to the Penny Ryle Narcotics Task Force. The task force is entering its 24th year of operation. Over the past 23 years, city and county donations have not increased, and with the budget reductions and loss of funding our agency is encountering, I feel at this time it is necessary to request a 20% increase in the donation amount. The task force applies for the Burn Justice Assistance Grant each year, which is a grant supplying 75% of federal funds, and the other 25% is from the city and county donations to the task force coverage area. As always, the Penny Ryle Task Force greatly appreciates the support you have given us and look forward to working with you in the future. The contribution is for $3,600. Deputy Maddox, I believe this is something that the Sheriff's Department would recommend that we continue our participation with? Okay. Sheriff, you've been, Commissioner Anderson, you've worked with this task force for years. I think a lot of benefit from that.
Yes.
I would recommend that we go into this arrangement again with the Penny Ryle Narcotics Task Force. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion, Judge.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. That motion carries. Next, we have the Jonathan Creek Water District budget summary. Their actual 2011 and their budget for 2012. Then their estimate for 2013. Did each of you get a copy of that? Okay, if not, I'll give you a copy. Their actual revenue for 2011 was, their operating revenue was $871,561. The budget for 2012 was $952,000. They estimate for 2013 backing the budget down to $836,000. And they've got all of the figures there. I'll have copies for each of you to review. I would recommend that we accept their summary of their budget subject to audit.
Make that motion, Judge.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Jeff has asked that we have an executive session. This is in regard to a lawsuit that our Attorney General and other Attorney Generals across the United States have filed, and we set to be a part of this. So I would recommend we go into executive session and let Jeff explain since it is a lawsuit.
We also have a personal issue, I think.
Oh, all right.
Make that motion, Judge.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We'll be in executive session. Call the court back into regular session. The lawsuit involves our participation in a bond issue that was done years ago through the Marsh County Public Properties Corporation when we built the spec building out at FLW. And the court has authorized Jeff to prepare the documents to add us to this lawsuit. And I guess we'll be filed in federal court, Judge, Jeff?
Actually, we will be, based on your recommendation, we're gonna settle with the, on this class action as it exists, so we won't have to file a lawsuit.
We're just saying by our action that then we will settle for the amount that they have pointed out. Okay. Do we need action to authorize you and I to do that?
Yeah.
All right. We have a motion to authorize Jeff and I on behalf of the court to settle on behalf of the county with Wachovia Bank. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. We did talk about a personnel issue, and we talked about the need for a job description for each employee, which I think is an excellent idea, and we're going to start that process Wednesday or Thursday, Jeff? When are we-
Thursday.
Thursday. So we'll get that process underway. All right, let's move now to our animal shelter report. The animal shelter report as of September, for September, we had animals in the pen as of 8/31/2012, 75. Animals brought in by wardens, 35. Animals brought in by citizens, 77, making a total of 112 animals, 35 dogs, 19 cats, 17 puppies, 25 kittens. We have adopted out 93 animals, animals in foster care, 20, animals reclaimed, 11, euthanized, 24, and animals in the pen as of 9/31/2012, and in foster care, 79. Still getting an unusually large amount of animals. The donations received from adoption fees and donations amounted to $3,275. So our animal shelter folks are doing a good job. It's just that we continue to get a rather large amount of animals. From the National Association of Counties, we have received our invoice for our dues. We have been a member of NACO for a number of years, probably about over 30. Our dues for NACO is $622. What's the pleasure of the court?
Make that motion, Judge.
I have a motion that we continue our involvement with the National Association of Counties. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All
That
in-
is budgeted, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. I need to sound this one. All right, let's move into the treasurer's report. Emily?
For the month September, ending September 30th, 2012, our book balance for general fund is $82,569.88. For road fund, $998,310.92. Jail fund, $121,791.06. Grant fund, $6,526.87. 911 fund, $167,838.50. Occupational tax administrator, $596,874.49. Veterans van fund, $3,611.62, for a total of all funds, September 30th, 2012, $1,977,523.34.
Any questions on the treasurer's report? Entertain a motion to accept subject to audit.
Make that motion, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Accounts receivable, Emily?
Our payroll fund accounts receivable report, shows the sheriff owes $612,371.27 due to the county. Everybody else is paid in full as of today.
All right, any questions? All right, financial, year-to-date?
The
What do I
quarterly,
need?
Encumbrance
Yeah,
report.
I need an approval on the quarterly encumbrance report, I'm sorry. Do I hear a motion?
Motion.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Now let's go to the encumbrance report.
So that motion was actually for the
I mean,
payroll report.
For now the encumbrance,
Yes.
all right, go ahead.
We have $33,756.71 in encumbrances in the general fund. $45,542.28 in the road fund, and $15,072.66 in the jail fund, for a total of encumbrances of $94,371.65.
Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay, next.
Next is our quarterly report. Thank you. Next is our quarterly report. General fund's ending cash balance is $82,569.88. Road fund, $998,310.92. Jail fund, $121,791.06. Federal grant fund is $6,526.87. 911 fund is $167,838.50. Occupational tax administrator is $596,874.49. Veterans Band Fund is $3,611.62, for a total of $1,977,523.34.
Do I hear a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Intra-fund transfer fund, or report.
I'm asking to move out of occupational tax administrator $31,250 to the 911 fund. That's our quarterly subsidy payment. And then I'm also asking to transfer $450,000 out of occupational tax administrator to general fund to cover bills. We have a larger number of bills due this court meeting for the general fund. It was about $256,000. Part of that is our final payment on our insurance to CAECO, which is about $75,000. Our subsidy to the hospital is $12,000. Jackson Purchase, we had some repairs at the sheriff's office facility that is covered by insurance, but that's about $13,000. And then our sheriff's subsidy is due with $103,000. So that's part of the reason why we need so much to transfer. Unfortunately, that leaves us, following this transfer approval, this will only leave us with about $20,000 left in occupational tax administrator fund.
All right, you've heard the request for the intra-fund transfer. What's your pleasure?
Motion approved, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Pardon?
Do we want to?
Yes, Commissioner Anderson and I had talked, well, all of us, I think, back when we were doing the budget thing, to do a quarterly review, which we haven't normally done. I think it's a good idea. And I think it'd be, what day would be good for y'all to sit down and get our department heads in and
Anytime's fine with me.
Is there a day that's better for you, Bob?
Not really.
Catch a go.
That should be good.
What,
I'm gonna be here.
when, Bob?
No, I think should be most any time.
Okay.
Of course, I've got, I guess, someone in the hospital on Friday of this week,
Who's going to the hospital?
my mother-in-law.
Oh.
Is having surgery, but it should be okay, but I'll, probably wouldn't want to do it then.
What about next Tuesday, or, we'll meet again on the 23rd. Would you like to do it that afternoon? That way we won't have to take a,
Be fine with me.
wait a minute, what?
Vacation that week.
What?
Emily, you stay on vacation.
The 16th works for me, Judge, if it works for you.
The 16th is okay with me, if that's
Yeah.
all right with everybody.
Is that on
What?
Tuesday?
Yep, yep.
Could we do it in the afternoon, or early morning, so Bob won't have to miss a lot of work?
Do early morning.
Be
Which-
fine.
which be-
Anytime, either one's good for me.
Huh?
One will
Which
be
you
fine with
prefer.
me.
Doesn't matter to me, so.
I can do it early in the morning, be good.
8 o'clock?
Yeah, that'd be good.
8 o'clock, now, we've got we're supposed to get a picture at family court at 9:30. But we can work that around. That'd be all right? Well, let's just say 8 o'clock then on the 16th. That's all right with everybody? Let me make sure we get that down on the book. Okay. Next is loan to the refuse district, which is a budgeted item, is that correct?
Yes, in the budget, we had budgeted, $200,000 that would be a wash, because they will repay this loan. But we feel like that they only need $100,000 to get them through right now. They did approve this request this morning in their meeting.
All right. You've heard the request, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve, is there a second?
What were they wanting you to say, Judge?
100,000.
100 or two that we approved?
No, we approved two, but they
I
just
said
need
they
a
want
hundred.
one of the two, is
Yeah.
what you're wanting?
Yeah,
Second.
motion and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. We had a call come in, and I'm not sure whose district this is in, Lauderdale Lane.
That's mine.
It's not a county road, is that correct, Bob?
That's correct.
So they've got a road washed out, but, we're not able to provide any assistance because it is not a county road and not in our system.
Yeah, I don't know. We looked at that several years ago as possibility it might be an existing road and gave the people involved then, it's a little road off Green Acres Road, and gave the people a number, a cost associated with making the improvements that were needed, and they were, at that time, weren't interested in doing that. It's not much gravel on the road. It'd have to be based in, it'd have to be widened and then paved, and so it was quite expensive. And I don't know what we can do. This then is a small road off that road. It's almost just, appears to be really a driveway, but evidently it was part of the old Green Acres plot. But it must show up on there, but it was never taken into the county system.
Okay. A week from Friday, not this Friday, a week from Friday on the 19th, we'll be dedicating a historical marker for Shelby McCallum, in honor of Shelby McCallum, down at the WCBL radio station at 10 o'clock in the morning. Shelby, of course, was our state representative here for many years, served as Speaker of the House under Governor Ned Breathitt, of course, was the owner and operator of WCBL radio for many years, and would like to invite everybody to that dedication ceremony on the 19th at 10 o'clock. A lot of activities coming up this Friday night. Yeah, this Friday night. There is a chili cook-off over at the Marsh County Exceptional Center. All the monies will be donated to the exceptional school. And if you like chili, the McHenrys will be there entertaining. I believe that starts at 6 o'clock. Anybody know? Right offhand? I think 6 o'clock, but anyway.
What day is that?
That's this Friday, which would be the 12th. 6 to 8. And then also Friday at Kentucky Dam, and I believe this is at 11 o'clock, will be their 50th anniversary. Is that right, or 60th? 50th anniversary of Kentucky Dam Village State Park. The commissioner, Elaine Walker, will be there. They're inviting all of the former employees and friends of Kentucky Dam Village to be present. So if you get a chance, swing by there. The Sheriff's Boys and Girls Ranch Golf Tournament is at 8 o'clock Saturday morning. Well, Sheriff, you're supposed to know these things. 8 o'clock,
not a
I'm pretty
golfer,
sure, at Kentucky Dam Village State Park. All the fun, the Mudison Run is a week from Saturday on the 20th, 9 o'clock. All of those proceeds will go to the Marshall County Free Clinic. Just a lot of things going on. Pardon?
In Doc's Dash Saturday, and each day is run at Marshall County Hospital is doing. I think there's a Saturday too.
Marsh County Hospital Doc's Dash. What, does that raise money for cancer research, or
I
do
don't
you?
remember what it was for, but I think it's Dr. Ford's doing it. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
it's the 13th.
All right. So, and then Exceptional Sunday will be the 21st over at the Exceptional School. So a lot of things going on. The health fair, Wendy, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure that is the 25th. 25th, that will be held up at the Joe Creason Center. Just a lot of activities going on.
Judge,
Yes, sir.
the 20th, they've got the Fall Festival at the Community Center in Grafton with the Lions Club put it on.
Lions Club Fall Festival, the 20th.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
Proceeds go to the eyeglass for the Lions Foundation.
Eye care. Okay, that's the 20th. A lot of things going on. All right, you've had an opportunity to review the bills. Do I hear a motion to pay the bills?
Motion to pay the bills, Judge.
I have a motion, is there a second? Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye. Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Any other business come before the court?
Judge,
Up.
under old business.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Insurance, right?
Well, yes, but no. I was gonna ask you all, you asked, us to poll the employees kind of about uniforms, what they would prefer. We had 17 that opted for the eliminating the uniforms and giving them a stipend. You had 17 that wanted to pay taxes on the uniforms, and 3 that wanted to make them mandatory and no tax. So it was a dead tie between.
Well, that's helpful.
Yeah, it was very helpful. So my feeling.
Wallace Eldon?
My feelings towards the situation is we would be more my office would be more comfortable paying them in a taxable check and being done with it, where if we go into taxing those uniforms, it's going to be quite a task for us to figure out week to week who got what type of uniform and how much the charge was, and to follow that will be quite an undertaking.
Well, Russell and I were discussing it this morning. Unless they've got a 33% deduction rate, which is extremely high, they're going to come out better being paid the taxable amount anyway, even above, the $100 we
Right.
talked about. So even if it's, what is it, $150 annually and it will be taxed? Is
Yes,
that possible?
yes, and they can, an employee has the option to change their W-4, to change their federal filing status at any given time, and then they could turn around and change that right back. That would change their federal tax amount.
Misty, on, if they don't itemize though, it's not deductible on short form. So I don't know how many, per ratio, you and I.
My recommendation is we eliminate uniforms and pay the.
Most of my clients don't.
Well, I'm just saying, even if they were taxed, at the regular taxable rate, 33% would be extremely high. We were looking at one plan versus the other. Basically, they would come out with either 100 or 150 taxable, and we felt like almost all of them would come out better taking the 150 taxable.
Emily's recommendation is we pay the stipend and let
And
them
I
do
think
what they
that's
want to
better
do.
anyway. Yeah.
Do I hear a motion to that
I'll make
effect?
a motion, Judge.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. We talked about the option for our health,
Our health insurance rates for the employees.
right?
I believe it's the court's opinion that they wanted to go with option B. That would be where the increase is split between the county and the employees. It doesn't push the majority of that increase
Right.
off onto the employees.
All right, do I hear a motion to go with option B?
Make that motion,
Have
Judge.
a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Motion carries. Any other business?
Really don't. Just give it,
Do we have a motion to pay the bills?
Motion to pay the bills,
We've
Judge.
done it, okay. Glad to have the new mayor of Fair Dealing with us today. Wallace Eldon McGregor took over that job after Barney Thweet moved to the city of Benton, so. Yeah, you said him to me, Wallace. Good to see you here this morning. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
That's all right.
Meeting's adjourned.